In the underbelly of a restless metropolis, an urban jungle where dreams collided with the stark reality of survival, Tunde and Amara's paths first intertwined amidst the flickering neon and unyielding rain. Tunde, a rugged young man marked by the scars of a difficult past, had learned early in life that the world was as unforgiving as it was unpredictable. Abandoned by the comforts of a stable family, he had grown up on the edges of society, finding solace only in the bonds of trust with those who shared his struggle. His dark eyes told silent stories of hardship and resilience, and his rough exterior concealed a heart that burned with a fierce loyalty for those who dared to love him. Amara, on the other hand, was a beacon of light in a world that often seemed devoid of hope. Born into a family of modest means, she possessed a quiet strength and an innate sense of purpose. Her spirit was indomitable, a delicate yet unwavering flame that refused to be snuffed out by the cold winds of fate. From a young age, she had dreamed of a life that transcended the narrow confines of her neighborhood. Though life had not always been kind, her optimism and fierce independence allowed her to envision a future where love and justice could coexist, even in a world rife with corruption and despair. Their meeting was serendipitous. One rainy night, while Tunde sheltered under the awning of a dilapidated bus stop, Amara emerged from the shadows of an alleyway. Their eyes met in the dim glow of a flickering street lamp, and in that brief moment, a spark ignited between them. It was as if fate had conspired to bring two wounded souls together, each harboring the silent promise of redemption and a yearning for something greater. In the days and weeks that followed, they discovered that they shared not only a hunger for change but also a burning desire to defy the systems that had long oppressed them. The city itself was a character in their story, a sprawling labyrinth of contrast where the glittering towers of wealth loomed over crumbling tenements. Within this polarized landscape, Tunde and Amara learned to navigate a world of hidden dangers and unspoken alliances. Their bond grew stronger as they confided in each other their darkest secrets and boldest dreams. Tunde recounted the memories of a childhood spent evading the harsh judgments of society, while Amara spoke of her ambitions to rise above the limitations imposed by circumstance. Over countless nights spent beneath the starless sky, the pair began to hatch a plan that was as daring as it was desperate, a heist that would shake the very foundations of the city's financial empire. They envisioned a single, audacious act of rebellion, a bank robbery that was not motivated by the desire for wealth but by the pursuit of a future where their love and dreams could flourish free from the shackles of poverty and neglect. Tunde, whose expertise with locks and security systems had been honed through years of living on the fringe, emerged as the mastermind behind the plan. Amara, with her meticulous nature and keen intellect, became his trusted partner in devising every minute detail of the operation. In the dim light of their secret hideout, a cramped, neglected room in a rundown building on the outskirts of the city, the duo pored over blueprints and security schematics. Maps were spread out across a scarred wooden table, and every crevice of the bank was analyzed with the precision of seasoned strategists. Their discussions were laced with both the adrenaline of rebellion and the tender intimacy of shared dreams. They were not merely planning a robbery, they were plotting a course toward a future in which the chains of their past would finally be broken. After weeks of planning and anticipation, the night of the heist arrived, a cool, moonless evening that cloaked the city in shadows. Tunde and Amara, dressed in dark clothing that blended with the night, moved silently through deserted alleys, their hearts pounding in unison. The bank loomed ahead like a fortress, its polished facade a stark reminder of the power and wealth that seemed both omnipresent and untouchable. Every step they took was measured and deliberate. Tunde led the way to a side entrance, a seldom-used door that offered a discreet entry point. With practiced ease, he disabled the security system, a feat that required both technical acumen and nerves of steel. Amara kept watch, her senses heightened to any sign of unexpected movement. In those tense moments, time seemed to slow as they navigated the labyrinth of corridors that led to the bank's inner sanctum. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with a palpable tension. The bank's interior was a study in contrast. Stark, white walls and sleek modern designs clashed with the gritty determination of the intruders. Moving through the building like shadows, they reached the vault, a massive steel door that guarded not only money but the promise of a new beginning. Tunde's hands trembled slightly as he applied the final touch to his bypass of the vault's sophisticated locking mechanism. With a resolute push, the door swung open, revealing rows of safety deposit boxes and piles of cash. The heist unfolded with an eerie grace. Tunde and Amara worked in synchrony, gathering what they needed with the precision of seasoned professionals. Yet, as they filled their bags with cash and valuables, their minds were not solely on the material spoils. Every stolen item was a symbol, a tool to build a future that had once seemed impossible. They moved quickly, acutely aware of the ticking clock, but also savoring the thrill of their defiance. The bank was soon empty of its treasures, and the duo retraced their steps through the corridors, leaving behind little evidence of their intrusion. Outside, the city exhaled as the duo melted back into the anonymity of the night. They disappeared into the labyrinth of streets, their hearts still racing with adrenaline and hope. For Tunde, the act was more than just a crime, it was a declaration of love and a bold stand against a society that had long tried to crush the dreams of people like him and Amara. News of the audacious bank robbery spread like wildfire through the city. The heist was not just a theft, it was a statement, a challenge to the established order. The local media buzzed with headlines about the daring duo who had managed to outsmart one of the most secure banks in the metropolis. In the aftermath, the police force was mobilized to track down the perpetrators, and the case quickly attracted the attention of two determined investigators. Officer Ifeoma, a woman known for her relentless pursuit of justice and a keen intellect that matched her empathy, was assigned to the case. With her steely gaze and an unwavering sense of duty, she had earned a reputation for solving even the most perplexing of crimes. Partnering with her was Inspector Emeka, a man whose calm demeanor and methodical approach to investigations complemented her intensity perfectly. Together, they formed a formidable team, driven by a shared commitment to bring the robbers to justice. As the investigation unfolded, Ifeoma and Emeka pored over surveillance footage, piecing together the movements of Tunde and Amara. Their inquiry revealed not only the technical sophistication of the heist but also hints of an underlying emotional dimension. The police began to suspect that the robbery was not a mere act of criminality but rather the culmination of a deeper story, a story of love, defiance, and the desire for redemption. The detectives combed through witness testimonies, interviews, and the scarce physical evidence left behind. In a small cafe near the bank, a nervous clerk recalled the intruders' synchronized movements and the palpable intensity of their gaze, a look that spoke of shared determination. Elsewhere, security experts marveled at the precision with which the bank's systems had been bypassed, suggesting that the criminals were not amateurs but individuals driven by a purpose that extended beyond the mere accumulation of wealth. As Ifeoma and Emeka continued their investigation, the pieces of the puzzle began to come together. The clues pointed toward a duo that was deeply connected, a pair whose personal motivations had propelled them into the realm of high-stakes crime. Their growing suspicion was that the robbery was as much an act of rebellion against the societal structures that had kept them down as it was an effort to secure a future for a love that defied the odds. In the days following the heist, Tunde and Amara found refuge in a safe house, a modest apartment on the fringes of the city, far from prying eyes. The initial exhilaration of their victory was gradually replaced by the weight of reality. The stolen riches, while promising a chance at a better life, were also a constant reminder of the risk they had taken. The couple's world, once consumed by the adrenaline of the heist, now braced for the inevitable confrontation with the law. Within the walls of their temporary sanctuary, Tunde and Amara allowed themselves brief moments of vulnerability. Over cups of bitter coffee and quiet, lingering glances, they recounted the events of the night and the dreams that had fueled their desperate act. Tunde's voice was low and reflective as he confessed that every risk he had taken was for her, for the promise of a shared future unmarred by the harsh realities of their past. Amara, her eyes glistening with both determination and tenderness, reassured him that their love was worth every stolen heartbeat and every ounce of sacrifice. Yet, even in the intimacy of their hideout, the specter of the investigation loomed large. The couple knew that every day could bring the approaching footsteps of the law. They discussed plans to move further away from the city if necessary, to lay low until the heat died down. But neither could escape the knowledge that their dream, however fragile it might be, had been born out of a world that was as unpredictable as it was unforgiving. As the investigation intensified, cracks began to appear in the foundation of Tunde and Amara's carefully constructed haven. The adrenaline that had once united them now gave way to mounting stress and whispered doubts. Outside the safe house, police patrols grew more frequent, and informants began circulating rumors of the duo's whereabouts. The pressure of impending capture gnawed at their resolve, and in the quiet moments between planning and escape, the couple found themselves grappling with conflicting emotions. Tunde, whose determination had always been fueled by his love for Amara, began to sense that the weight of their actions might drive an irreparable wedge between them. His mind raced with memories of the night of the heist, the way Amara's eyes had shone with hope and defiance, and he feared that the inevitable consequences might shatter the fragile sanctuary they had built together. Amara, for her part, fought to remain resolute. Yet, late at night, when the city's chaos settled into an oppressive silence, she would find herself questioning whether the cost of their rebellion was too steep. The tension between their shared passion and the grim reality of their situation threatened to erode the very foundation of their bond. Meanwhile, the diligent work of Officer Ifeoma and Inspector Emeka was beginning to bear fruit. The investigation had taken an unexpected turn when a minor detail, a discarded cufflink near the bank service entrance, provided a tangible link to the culprits. Forensic analysis revealed that the cufflink belonged to a tailor known for crafting custom accessories for a select group of individuals on the fringes of society. This clue, though seemingly insignificant, narrowed the field considerably. Ifeoma, with her relentless pursuit of truth, began to piece together a profile of the robbers. The duo's sophistication, their deep connection, and their calculated approach all pointed to a partnership that went beyond the conventional realm of criminality. The detective's instincts told her that these were not common criminals, they were individuals driven by forces that transcended the mere pursuit of profit. With each new piece of evidence, Ifeoma and Emeka felt themselves drawn deeper into the emotional tapestry behind the heist, a tapestry woven with threads of love, despair, hope, and ultimately, redemption. Their investigation led them through the city's winding back streets and hidden enclaves, where whispers of the heist were shared in hushed tones over steaming bowls of soup and cups of bitter coffee. Among the local vendors and street performers, the story of Tunde and Amara had become a legend, a modern-day Robin Hood tale that captivated the imagination of a downtrodden populace. Yet, for Ifeoma and Emeka, the pursuit was not just about capturing criminals, it was about understanding the intricate interplay of circumstances that had driven these two souls to defy destiny. The turning point in this turbulent saga arrived on a humid evening when fate conspired to bring all the threads of the narrative together. Tunde, increasingly weary from the relentless pressures of life on the run, had decided that it was time to stake everything on the one love that had kept him going, Amara. The plan was simple yet fraught with risk. He would use their precarious moment of reprieve to propose to her, to offer a promise of redemption and a future together that transcended the chaos of their present. It was a night when the rain fell softly, as if the heavens themselves were shedding tears for the broken dreams scattered across the city's streets. Tunde led Amara to a secluded rooftop that overlooked the sprawling urban landscape, a vantage point from which the city's lights resembled a constellation of hopes and broken promises. The air was thick with both the fragrance of rain-soaked earth and the palpable tension of impending change. Under the shelter of a modest canopy adorned with flickering fairy lights, Tunde's eyes shone with an intensity born of love and desperation. Amara, ever perceptive, sensed that this moment was charged with significance. The chaos of their lives, the heist, the looming threat of capture, the relentless pursuit by the police, melted into the background, leaving only the two of them in a fragile bubble of possibility. Taking a deep, steadying breath, Tunde reached into his worn jacket and produced a small, carefully wrapped box. The gesture was both tender and defiant, a silent message that even in the midst of turmoil, love could be a sanctuary. With his voice trembling with a mixture of passion and vulnerability, he spoke words that had been etched in his heart since the moment they first met Amara. He began, his tone husky with emotion, "Every risk I have taken, every dangerous step I have trodden, has been for you. In a world that has offered me nothing but hardships, you have been the light that has guided me. I robbed the bank not for wealth, but to steal us a chance to build a life where love reigns supreme over despair. Will you be my partner in every step of this uncertain journey? Will you marry me?" For a long, suspended moment, the only sound was the soft patter of rain against the rooftop. Amara's eyes filled with tears, a mix of sorrow for the past, hope for the future, and a deep, abiding love that defied the chaos surrounding them. The world, with its relentless pursuit and unforgiving rules, seemed to fall away, leaving just the two of them standing on the precipice of a new beginning. In that instant, the sound of approaching footsteps shattered the intimate silence. Officer Ifeoma and Inspector Emeka, having tracked the couple to this very location through a series of calculated moves and timely intel, emerged from the darkness. The detectives, whose lives had been dedicated to enforcing the law, now found themselves at the crossroads of duty and the undeniable human drama unfolding before them. For a split second, time seemed to halt. The rain, the city's distant hum, even the weight of the stolen riches all converged in that charged moment. Tunde, still kneeling on the rain-drenched rooftop, held out the small box as if it were the very embodiment of his soul. Amara, her face awash in a mixture of defiance and tenderness, reached out to him. Their hands met, a tentative bridge of trust that spanned the chasm between rebellion and redemption. Officer Ifeoma's eyes softened as she took in the scene, her professional resolve momentarily yielding to the raw emotion of the moment. Inspector Emeka, too, allowed himself a rare glimpse of empathy. They knew that the law, as rigid and unyielding as it might be, sometimes intersected with the messy, unpredictable terrain of human relationships. The rooftop proposal sent ripples through both the criminal underworld and the ranks of the police. News of the dramatic moment spread quickly, morphing into a modern legend, a tale of love that dared to defy all odds. As Tunde and Amara were taken into custody, their future hung in a delicate balance between punishment and the possibility of redemption. In the days that followed, Officer Ifeoma and Inspector Emeka found themselves questioning the rigid dichotomy between right and wrong. Their investigation, once purely focused on apprehending criminals, had evolved into an exploration of the human spirit, a realization that even those who flouted the law might be driven by profound love and desperate hope for a better life. The case became a topic of debate among their colleagues and within the broader community, igniting conversations about justice, compassion, and the societal structures that often force people to choose between survival and morality. While Tunde and Amara faced the consequences of their actions in court, their story continued to resonate with a city that had long been divided by wealth and poverty. The heist, originally conceived as an act of rebellion, had morphed into a symbol of resistance, a reminder that even in a system rigged against the underprivileged, the human heart could find ways to soar above despair. Journalists, local activists, and everyday citizens debated the ethics of their crime, some seeing it as an affront to order, while others viewed it as an act of necessary defiance against a corrupt system. During the trial, as evidence and testimonies were presented, Tunde's heartfelt confession about his motivations moved many in the courtroom. He spoke not just of the thrill of the heist, but of the overwhelming desire to forge a future with Amara, a future where love could flourish free from the oppressive forces of poverty and neglect. Amara, standing by his side, conveyed a quiet strength that resonated with everyone who heard her story. Their words painted a picture of two souls forced into desperate choices by a world that had long ignored their plight. The courtroom became a stage where the complexities of human emotion and societal injustice converged. While the law sought to mete out punishment, the jury and even some of the prosecuting officers could not help but empathize with the couple's plight. The debate raged: was this a cold-blooded bank robbery, or a desperate bid for love and a chance at a new life in a world that had systematically denied them opportunities? Even as the legal proceedings continued, Tunde's proposal, captured on grainy surveillance footage and replayed across news networks, became a defining moment of the case. It was a moment that transcended the immediate crime and entered the realm of myth, a testament to the power of love to transform even the most desperate acts into expressions of humanity. Officer Ifeoma, whose own heart had been hardened by years of enforcing the law, found herself reflecting on her own past, a past marked by loss, hope, and the transformative power of compassion. Inspector Emeka, ever the voice of reason, maintained that the law had to be upheld, yet he could not ignore the profound human drama that had unfolded on that rain-soaked rooftop. The two detectives began to collaborate more deeply, not just as enforcers of the law but as seekers of truth about the societal conditions that drove people like Tunde and Amara to such extremes. As weeks turned into months, the public discourse surrounding the case led to unforeseen changes. Advocates for criminal justice reform cited Tunde and Amara's story as evidence of a system in desperate need of empathy and re-evaluation. Public opinion, once sharply divided, began to lean towards a more nuanced understanding of the interplay between crime, poverty, and love. Their story, the story of a man and a woman who dared to defy fate, who risked everything in the name of love, became a cherished legend. It was a narrative that would be recounted for generations, a tale of daring, passion, and redemption that proved that even in a world marred by injustice, the human heart possessed the capacity to steal back its destiny, one courageous step at a time. In the annals of the city's lore, the Heist of Hearts was remembered not as a criminal act, but as a clarion call for change. Tunde and Amara's journey, fraught with peril, burdened by loss, yet illuminated by the redemptive power of love, served as a reminder that every human being carries within them the potential to transform their world. Their lives, forever intertwined by the choices they made in defiance of a rigged system, became a living symphony of hope, a melody that echoed through the narrow alleys, the bustling markets, and the quiet rooftops of a city that had learned, at last, to listen to the gentle refrain of the human heart. Their legacy lived on in the community center they had founded, in the life they had touched, and in the ongoing dialogue about justice and compassion that now resonated throughout the metropolis. The story of Tunde and Amara was a testament to the truth that sometimes the most profound acts of rebellion are those that seek to preserve the beauty of love, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And so, as the city continued its ceaseless rhythm, its lights flickering like distant stars, its streets echoing with the footsteps of dreamers, the legend of the Heist of Hearts remained a beacon. It was a story of two souls who dared to hope, who risked everything for each other, and who, in the end, taught the world that love could indeed rewrite the rules of fate.